I'm more of a DuckTales fan than a Darkwing Duck fan. For sure, for sure.
And why?
Coach takes Kevin into just a broom closet. You
Yeah,
know,
in the utility room.
finally Pete's like, you know what? I'm going to stay up 11 days. And that's crazy, Steve. That's craziness.
Happened in the 90s.
Chong was still living that life, Steve.
Yeah, I totally respect the Chong route more. Like
Yeah.
Nash Bridges.
Hey,
I
man.
love
You got to
Cheech,
get
bro.
paid. You got to get paid, Steve. Cheech was always doing weird movies. He'd always do like those kind of. Him and Chong did like the weird ones like Corsican Brothers, but then he'd go off in like the late 80s, early 90s and do like. He had sort of a Paul Rodriguez thing going too, where he was making
Yeah,
like the Mexican guy making good in America type movies too. So yeah,
yeah.
they split ways a little bit, which is sad. But Chong's a straight legit G for weed because not only did he take it on the chin to just like, talk about it when people weren't really talking about it. Remember when he went to jail? Such bull. It was. So I have a book about it. If you'd like to read it, Steve, I've done some in depth research here. It's called The I Chong. If you want to read about his time in prison, but he got arrested and basically went to jail for his son because his son was doing. Remember those weed pipes that had his face like in it? I think somebody we knew had one.
Okay.
It was just it was a weed pipe. So they were selling those online or like through mail and they sold one in a state which at the time would not allow interstate sales of weed or weed paraphernalia. So his son actually was going to go to jail for that, and he was like, "Nah, that was my thing," and took the fucking charge and went to jail. He did like, I think he did like a year, maybe less than a year, something like that. It wasn't like insane time, but yeah, it's crazy, dude. The guy's and
Well,
he did more for I feel like than like even Willie did. We all know Willie, but I mean, I guess that tracks too. Like he was a trendsetter for weed, but he was also kind of just like an outlaw type figure in music in the 70s and stuff. He's a folk hero. A country music guy wrote a song about never wanting to smoke weed with Willie again, and it was hilarious.
well, he outsmokes Snoop, so
Can you imagine that? How does that happen? Especially being old. Like, I don't understand how he's kept the lungs up,
definitely
too.
been arrested for marijuana. I don't. I feel like he's been arrested for more.
Maybe. Probably some
Yeah.
guns, maybe some guns on his like little cool bus that he had.
But I'm really not trying to besmirch the man's name. He sang the national anthem at WrestleMania 7, and
Yeah.
that gives all the respect. It gets all the respect from me.
He outsmoked goddamn Snoop too. So if that anyone that has that, there's only one person with that on their resume, Steve, and it's Willie. You know what I'm saying?
Willie, what you gonna do, Willie?
In my day, dime bags cost a dime. You know how much condoms cost back in the day?
How much, Matt?
Shit, I don't know. We never used them.
So, if you pick between two ducks, who would it be, man? Darkwing or Scrooge? Who's cooler?
I gotta go Scrooge. I'm more of a DuckTales fan than a Darkwing Duck fan. For sure, for sure.
And why?
Well, Scrooge has a building of money that he's swimming in. So I can't think of anything more baller than that.
So the money is
The
that what it's all
money.
about?
The money. I mean, Darkwing Duck, maybe he was rich too. Wasn't he like, didn't he have like a rich Bruce Wayne alter ego, sort of like Batman in the show? I don't know. But yeah,
He had his contraption.
Scrooge was going all over the world, doing some shit, buying some shit. You'd probably just get a couple of those coins falling out of his pocket because he lost track. So it's all good in the Scrooge McDuck household, Steve. That's where I'm going.
So
Are
of
you?
all, I think Darkwing Duck is the coolest of the Duck Dynasty, the Disney Duck Dynasty.
Wow, dude. Not
He
even
is
the
the
Mighty
terror.
Ducks, Steve. Not even the Mighty Ducks. Come on.
He is the terror that flaps in the night.
Let's get dangerous, Steve. I can do a hell of a Darkwing Duck impersonation. Scrooge, no, but still, I'm going with the baller status than just the crime fighting Steve. Plus, we smoke weed. Darkwing's gonna bust your ass.
How you know? He never busted people for weed on that show.
They didn't show it, Steve. He was going after the high class criminals on the show, but every once in a while he'd see some kids smoking a J in their alleyway, and he'd get a little dangerous.
You're talking early '90s Darkwing Duck. I mean, 2024 Darkwing Duck. It wasn't decriminalized back then. So
That's true. That's
he's
true.
just, he's just fighting crime, doing his job.
Maybe he's out just giving away free samples at this point too, because it's a medicine, you know.
And every time he popped up on his ops, he came through with a hot bar. If it wasn't a sweet 16, he had at least 4 bars.
He did have like a Jules speech ready to go for any criminal situation. I didn't remember the rhyming part, but you're right. He was freestyling that shit like Phil Moore. I love that.
And I do love Scrooge though. He's probably out of all of the ducks, it's Darkwing, Daffy, and Scrooge.
Daffy. Yeah, Donald, get the fuck out of here. We're done with you.
Worthless.
Yeah.
And I think we both can agree. Huey, Dewey, and Louie, they were useless. Because I never checked for them. I watched it solely for Scrooge too, and Launchpad. Shout out to Launchpad. He's
Yeah,
a conduit.
all the side characters, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, they were just there to get them into some fuck shit. You know what I'm saying? They screwed shit up so Scrooge could come in, clean it up, you know, pay a couple people off.
I didn't like their little duck voices. Jeez, Uncle Scrooge.
I don't want to like dig too deep into racial politics in the duck world, but they look like they were related to Donald. So I think they had a little bit of that bullshit blood in them that, you know, that's why they were fucking up so much.
I think, aren't they all related? Donald and Scrooge?
Yeah,
and
maybe they are. Well, what's Daffy doing? You know what I'm saying? Where's he coming in? Is he just the? Because he's got a different swag. Maybe he's from a different like family that just is more cool. But I don't know, Steve.
Well, all the Looney Tunes characters, especially the old school ones, they just hit different. Daffy's a one-man army.
Yeah, Donald never. I was never into it. Period. You know, put him in a. Was he even in like Space Jam?
I'm not sure. He might have been in Space Jam with LeBron, like the reboot, but I don't know.
The blase one. I think he was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like I think he did get a little cameo in that. But yeah, dude, Donald Duck, get out of here with your bullshit ass sailor suit on, fucking suspect ass.
Shout out to the one wearing the green shirt.
Yeah, dude. That's weird. I was a kid, but I came to DuckTales for all the adult ducks, Steve. Especially, I liked me some Launchpad McQuack. They had like a robot duck, Steve, that I love too. That was dope as shit. So all that, you know, that's what I'm saying. DuckTales, I think you're gonna find if we put a poll out, DuckTales is just a demolishing Darkwing Duck, Steve.
No, he doesn't demolish it. No, they don't demolish it. They might slightly beat it in the polls, but it's a narrow margin.
Well, we've picked our sides, Steve. So in the War of the Ducks, I'm going to be in a fat ass limousine and you're going to be hanging out with some guy with a mask on looking like you're going to an orgy. So either way, we're both winning.
The world, man. Hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your 6 degrees of separation and your sixpence none the richer, because a cloud of smoke and he appears, master of surprise. Who's that cunning mind behind the shadowy disguise? Nobody knows for sure. Bad guys are out of luck, 'cause here comes Darkwing Duck. Look out! When there's trouble, you call DW. Darkwing Duck.
Let's get dangerous.
Dun, dun.
Darkwing Duck. I mean, damn, now that you sang that shit, Steve, that song, shit.
Come on now.
That shit has got a little bit of fucking spice to it.
And I was today years old when that person that sang the song. I found out that that's a dude. I thought it was a big titty black woman. Come on.
Dude, that's exactly what I was picturing, Steve. A dude?
It's a dude, and it's the same dude who did DuckTales, Jeff Piscetto.
And they put a little like T-Pain on the voice? Because damn, he's getting it up there. It sounds like a very feminine voice.
Well, I'm assuming that for the Darkwing, I'm assuming that's a woman or a
Oh,
chorus, a group of women.
yeah, hell yeah. Like the
Um,
screams in the background, just like, let's get. Hell yeah, dude.
and I
I
hope
don't
they're
know
all
though.
big
They
titty
got,
black women.
they gotta be, Steve. They
Please be
gotta
big titty
be
black
belting
women
it out like that. please, please be black women.
that have big titties. And
Always.
whenever I just hear that a theme song with that boisterous sound, is like I just Aretha Franklin like sister with
Yeah.
just bosoms
She,
just
she
busting, just
she ain't skinny, Steve. She's got a little bit of. She's just got a little bit of cushion for the pushing. She's out there. Remember who was the chick that danced for Robert De Niro and Jackie Brown? Remember
Rhonda.
Rhonda? Somebody I forget. We're fucking up because that's one of our favorite movies. But hell yeah, that's what I picture. Just a bitch in like a nice sequin suit, like dress,
Yeah.
just belting it out.
Breasts is smacking that mic stand. Sharonda.
Sharon. No, that was the country chick, Steve. I'll look it up
Oh,
because
I
I
know
feel
who you're talking about. Okay, yeah, she was thick.
yeah. I mean, chick was thick and one of the few that got out of there. Steve, she got out with the money, and her and Jackie met up someplace like Shawshank and just fucking lived a lifestyle with that money. Simone, Steve, that's the name of the chick.
Sure
Simone.
was.
You see Simone do her little thing, do a little dance. Oh, dude, hell yeah. Hells yes. Big ass titty black chick, Steve. I love it. I'm here for it.
Them beautiful breasts, baby. Well, today, my friend, we're talking all things 1212 in the 90s. Starting off in 1990, Wonder Years is airing season 4, episode 9, A Very Cutlip Christmas. Kevin discovers Mr. Cutlip moonlighting as Santa Claus and breaks his promise not to say a word when he tells Doug Porter, who then tells Randy, and so on and so on.
God damn it, Kevin, you snitch.
I just, I try to separate the art from the artist, but man, them savages I do not fuck with.
I mean, let's look at the name, Steve. Look at the last name. It's right there. That's why they got it. They came to America. Everyone was like, ugh, savages, bitch.
Only savages I fuck with are Randy and 2121. We start this off with Christmas. It's a special Christmas episode, and we get the voiceover by was it Daniel Stern? Christmas is magic. It's time for the miracles. You know, reindeer fly, Frosty never melts. But as you get older, that magic begins to fade.
Until something happens that reminds you miracles do happen, Steve, every day. And I don't really know exactly where that comes in on this, but love Daniel Stern. You know, this is something that I didn't clock until well after Home Alone, obviously. Like, I don't think I knew who Daniel Stern was, obviously, when I was watching this, but it's so cool that voice, dude. It's powerful. It's like it gives me nostalgia just hearing it. I want him to narrate my life, honestly.
They picked the right guy for it, man. And it's ironic that like he was not known for something serious. Like he was always like a slapsticky, cartoonish kind of guy.
He's got the pipe, Steve. You don't see him, and you get to just hear him. Just it's the smooth. It's like smooth jazz in this show. You know,
Yeah.
he's just getting you. He's giving you the intro and the outro, and it's Christmas time. This was the time when you were a kid, Steve. This was it. Get in that J.C. Penney catalog. You get to the toys. Maybe stop off at the nightwear for the ladies. Couple bra picks. Rip those out. You'd pick a couple of things, and you'd hope to God for a month you were on the nice list so Santa would show up. I've loved so many awesome memories. I love Christmas Story. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, so I always got to watch that on rotation. But this is it. So we're in the mall. Actually, no, we're at school, and it's gym class. Coach Cutlip is reading a message from none other than Mr. President himself, Richard Nixon, at the time. You need to keep out. I don't like fat people, Steve. Because it's time for the All-American Physical Fitness Challenge. This is something we had to do as kids, too. As a fat kid in junior high, this was a nightmare. This was a nightmare, Steve. I hated it.
I used to look forward to it. It's like, man, I get to show the bitches how athletic I am.
See, you could do pull-ups, right? You see, I cannot do that. So that was the thing. We didn't have rope climbs, I don't think, but we had
No.
pull-ups, and I couldn't do that. That was my nightmare. We see a lot of this. We see the kids just fucking around. Coaches are just he's just a hard ass on these kids. And as they get to like they're done, they go into the locker room and the kids are just talking and they're like, fucking coach is a fucking prick. Like, we need to teach this guy a lesson. And like somebody just like put something out there. It's like, man, I just wish we had something on this guy, like so we could fucking put the screws to coach because this guy isn't he's just too much.
And then Cutlip comes in there and he's like, I know what you boys are thinking. You're thinking that you let me down, but don't you worry. There's always mañana. And then when he leaves, one of the kids is like, I want to fucking kill him. I'm like, whoa, bro.
Yeah, dude. He's like, dude, I got a knife, bro. Like, chill out. It's just fucking gym class. You're fine. I don't even understand, Steve, the National Fitness Challenge or whatever it is. What is the point other than making you for that small amount of time, just like making kids do physical fitness? Are they are they logging our numbers? Like, is there a file with our numbers in it someplace?
It's like I feel like it's a part of that Arnold kind of deal. Didn't he have like a fitness challenge or something like that? They just, concerned about kids' health in America and, preventing us from being,
Chubby. Yeah, filet of fishes were going around like hotcakes back in the day, Steve. So I support this now as a tween. Absolutely not. I was trying to tell him I had asthma, so I didn't have to run. Ask Hans that. Hans, if you're out there, he remembers because he was questioning it because I was like trying to lie to him too. Like, yeah, dude, I totally have it. And he's like, dude, you don't have asthma.
pathetic.
Yeah, I was bad. So Kevin, it's, he gets off school. It's time to go to the mall. Another thing fat kids hate because clothes shopping especially sucks when you're fat. Kevin's not, but he doesn't like the mall. He's there with his mom. It's not cool. There's no chicks other than his mom. And she's fucking like, ooh, let's try on ties.
Yeah.
Hell no. He's hating it, Steve. It's hating it. This isn't Christmas. Ties, socks. That's the shit you just go, where's the Nintendo game at? Where's this?
This isn't the Christmas I want. Fuck a tie. Give me a toy.
Santa didn't say, I didn't put shit on here about fucking formal wear, Mom. The fuck is this? An umbrella? Thanks.
But Kevin's in that tweener stage where, he's too old for toys. And it's like, so what do you get a kid? Because I remember being 12, 13. It was just like at some point, my people just started giving me money. It's like, all right, do what you want with this. So
I like that, though. I'm all about that. Give me the green. That's the best Christmas gift. He's searching for the Christmas magic, Steve. Kevin's, he's a softie. And he wants something to just bring him some warmth, like a nice warm cup of cocoa,
But at this point, it's really starting to become a buzzkill, all of this Christmas jazz, until he sees Santa. And when he sees that Santa palace, he's locked in. And he gets closer, and he's just really eye darting that Santa.
Yeah, in a weird way where he's like, man, I think I know this guy. Like, and it's like, yeah, it's Santa. But then he keeps going and he's like, wait, those cheeks, those lips. And he just can't place it. He's like, who is that? Maybe I'm just fucking crazy. Then Santa sneezes.
He breaks character and says, excuse me, in his normal voice. And then Kevin, like, as he's just pondering about this, he turns around. It's like, dude, that's Cutlip.
And Cutlip, no, then he sees Kevin is like, oh shit. And instead of playing cool, he like just runs around like trying to figure out a way to like hide with a kid. I mean, he's running around with a kid. Then he just goes behind Santa's workshop door and just slams that shit. So Kevin, he knows. And now, Steve, Kevin's got a little bit of ammo on fucking Cutlip. I'm sorry, I wrote Cutlet on this, and I didn't get his name right on any of my notes. So if I mispronounce that, I apologize.
Cutlass. But the next day, Kevin, he runs into Cutlip in the hallway, and he's just stuck. He doesn't know what to say. He's just like, how you doing?
I like them all. Merry Christmas. And Cutlip's like, all right, dude. Then at gym, Cutlip comes in and he's fucking looking just intense. And he's like, look, some of you kids are straight up fucking up and you are going to have to work harder. Other kids, maybe not. So, Fatty, kid with the gimp leg, and Johnny with the goofy eye, you're going to have to run laps. And Kevin's like, oh shit, like he's going to fucking fuck me because all this shit I know. And he's like, look, Kev, why don't you do the time for me? So Kevin's like, shit, that would have been a dream for a fat kid too. I just get to sit here and judge people, tell
Say
them
what?
they're not fucking. Yeah, exactly. So, whoo, Kevin's getting a little preferential treatment though, Steven. That can't always go good in an educational setting. You know what I'm saying?
Because right as he's given the stopwatch, he turns around and the whole crew is just staring at him like, "Fuck you, Kevin Arnold. You a
Yeah, what'd you
bitch."
do? What did you do to fucking coach to get all this? So kids, now they're pissed. They're shitting on him in the hallway. They're calling him teacher's pet. And then to add just like more salt to the wound and piss these kids off even more while Kevin's talking to his boys, Cutlip shows up and is like, I mean, this kind of comes off in a weird, like almost pedo-ish way. He's like, hey,
Yeah,
kid,
it does.
you want some candy? Uh, thanks, coach. Thanks for this weird paper bag of Swedish fish. Like, I don't know what kind of old timey shit you just gave me.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And the kids don't like it either. They're like, man, fucking bitch ass. Eat your fucking teacher candy, Kev, you fucking bitch.
Coach's girlfriend.
Yeah, dude. And then to make it even more pedo-ish at one point, Coach takes Kevin into just a broom closet.
Yeah,
No,
in the utility room. It's
fuck
like
it.
because Kevin he has to talk to him, and he lets Cutlip know that hey, I saw you, man.
The shit is fine. I don't need the candy. I don't need all the love that you're trying to throw at me. Shit's good because is also trying to give him a couple of free hall passes. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, this is pretty shady shit going on here. I know, like, you're trying to hide the Santa thing, but how many times have you done this? So you just got all these like weird fucking coercion tactics for kids set up. Weird.
Call me Ed, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm gonna keep calling you Mr. Cutlip.
Yeah, and can you turn on more lights? Because this fucking shit is crazy. Is that a box of condoms back there? Get the fuck out of here. So they have a little closet talk, Steve, which I don't think is part of like you're allowed to do as a teacher. But coach is like, oh, okay, message received. And I think what happens here is coach thinks Kevin's trying to play a little hardball with him, where he's like, oh, so all this stuff's not going to be enough. Let me fucking go to the ATM real quick and like up the ante, you know? But that's not what Kevin's trying to do. He's just trying to be like, dude, like, this is weird now, and I look like shit, so help me out. So Kevin is now fucked in school. His credibility is going down. Winnie's looking all over the place for some other dick to scratch. And he's trying to hang out with people in the lunchroom, and nobody wants to. It's like Forrest Gump. See, take him.
Yeah,
Then he sees
except
his chubby buddy over there. It's like fucking Craig's gonna let me hang out. You know, he shows up. Even that kid has a fucking attitude, Steve.
yeah, what do you want, Arnold? But somehow, some way, Kevin lets it slip that he saw a Cutlip at the mall, but he doesn't tell him what he was doing at the mall. And shortly after that, he's summoned to Cutlip's office, and he's like, "Oh, what is it now?" He goes to Cutlip's office, and Ed now he gives him a fruitcake. Like who? I
Hey,
don't understand how
bro,
that. Yeah,
give him a Reese's Pieces or something. A fruitcake? I don't even think 90-year-old women want a fruitcake. I don't know how you're trying to coerce, like, hey, Kev, here's a little something extra on top. I'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Club somebody with it? But he's the coach, for some reason, doesn't want anyone to know he's Santa. This is where my confusion came in. Is like, what is the problem in this? Like, fuck these kids, coach. You think Kevin Arnold's gonna dictate your life? Fuck that little fucking son of a bitch.
he has a reputation. He wants to be a hard ass coach, and he can't be seen as this like rosy cheeked Christmas character, man. And he even tries to give him a little backstory to himself. You know, he shows him a picture of his mom. He's even like laughing and smiling with Kevin. Before he goes into his spiel, Kevin just cuts him off and he's just like, look, dude, I don't care about that. I don't care about no fruitcake, man. Your mom, I'm sure she was cool and everything, but look, dude, just leave me alone, man. Mr. Cutlip, Coach
Yeah.
Cutlip.
You see what's happening out there? These people want to fucking beat the shit out of me. So I don't know what it feels like in a Santa suit. Whatever. You wanted to tell me it gets hot and sweaty in there. Fine. That's weird. But let's just keep this cool. I'm not going to tell anybody you're good. I'm going to head out. And as he's leaving, Cutlip has to just be. This guy has a sad fucking life, Steve, because he feels the need to like tell all this to this little kid. And he's like, look, man, kids just like me when I'm Santa, okay? And Kevin's like, Jesus, that's pathetic, but just leaves. So now he has that in his head where he's like, dude, this guy just has an awful life. And like, I, I'm trying to ruin it. So I feel like shit.
Yeah, he's a savage. But for once, though, he finally sees Cutlip as a human being. Maybe a disturbed human being, a sad human being, but a human being nonetheless.
A severely depressed human being for sure. And then he goes on the bus. And now he has this knowledge that he feels sorry for Cutlip. So he's like, oh, fuck, dude. I said I wasn't going to spill the beans. I really only spilled the beans to one kid. So we should be good here. So he finds Chubby Guy in the back of the bus and is like, yo, dude, just happy that you just don't tell anybody about that. I know I told you that shit. Don't do it. And the kid's like, I mean, that's cool. I only told one person. Kevin's like, who the fuck did you tell? And then he starts pointing, and you could tell the word's getting out, Steve. One turned into 2, 3, 5. Everyone knows about Cutlip working at the mall
It's the
during
telephone
the
game.
holiday. And I got to be honest, as a kid who was a cunt to teachers, I guess knowing that they were so broke that they needed a second job at the mall, I would have given me some kind of evil joy as a kid,
Oh,
So maybe that's what it was. But these kids are fucking animals, Steve. Kevin's trying to hold the dam back, but it's about to break with the knowledge that Cutlip's doing something at the mall.
yeah.
Wrapping presents, who knows?
They're grilling him already. Does he work at the Orange Julius? Does he work at the Esbarros?
Do you guys go to the mall? Like, look around. Like, why do I gotta fucking tell you? Get your mom to take you. So Kevin's like, look, I gotta get to the mall and like warn this guy because I think the kids say they're going to the mall to like find like as a lynch mob basically to find this guy and humiliate him publicly. I guess like I don't know what their plan is. So he has to go to like get somebody because he's a kid, Steve. This was the kind of the battle that you had to figure out when you got to this age because you wanted to go places but you couldn't.
Yeah.
You weren't good. You weren't catching a bus. You didn't have a car, so you had to like get an adult to take you. So Kevin sees his mom. He's like, "Hey, mom, I need to go to the mall." And the mom's like, "No, like I got too much stuff to do. I got this and that." And he's like, "Mom, remember that tie though? I've been thinking about that since we left the mall. I got to get that tie and some formal wear purchases. It's right up his mom's alley." So she agrees, Steve. So he's on his way to the mall now.
And right when he gets there, he sees the mob of kids that rush into the mall. It's true lynch mob style.
It's straight up. Like it looks like they're going to beat someone's ass. Like somebody got assaulted and they're looking for the culprit. So they're looking around. Kevin's like, oh shit. So he fucking ducks and moves, gets around the food court, gets to Santa's little area, trips and falls, almost is killed by the toy train set that's coming around the tracks, which I love. That was great. That had a little drama to it. Cutlip's fucking helping a kid out as Santa will, but Kevin just runs on the little platforms like, yo, Santa. But we gotta fucking talk, dude. So Cutlip fucking tosses a kid. I don't really remember what happened there, but
You're not
Kevin's
gonna try to sit on my lap, are you?
yeah. But Kevin's like, look, dude, everyone knows about you working here. My bad. That's totally I fucked up. But they're here. So I don't know, dude. Like the cat's out of the bag. So Cutlip's like sweating. He's like, oh fuck. But then Steve, what happens? His nuts drop. And he decides he could give a fuck less about what these kids think, So as they're approaching or, walking around close to him, he just stands up. as Santa will, chest out, and he just stares straight ahead, just like, like he's 1,000 miles stare. So some kids like are approaching. Kevin's like, oh shit, they're gonna fucking make him out for sure. So two of his boys show up and they start looking at Santa just like he did at the beginning of the episode. And he's like, and the kids are like, man, what the fuck? And you think it's only a matter of time, but the narration starts and Stern's like, but when they looked over at Santa or Cutlip, all they saw was Santa because they were still kids. So these kids, they couldn't even see Cutlip, Steve. They just
Couldn't
saw
even
that
see him.
jolly old Saint Nick up there just waiting to give them some toys. So they kind of clock that and they're like, man, let's get out of here. Let's go find Cutlip. He's probably working in like fucking that weird fucking sex toy shop at the end of the mall. You know the one. You know
Yeah,
the one.
Spencer's was around in the 60s.
Yeah. So Kevin really, again, proves to us this is a sweet kid when you look at all the ads, but this kid's a fucking tool, Steve, and he's a snitch.
Damn you, Freddie. Macaulay would never. You know Macaulay.
Yeah, dude. So, Fred, we love you in a way, but you can be a bit of a fucking turd in this show. I'd rather hang out with Paul. Paul was balling. We didn't really mention him too much, but Paul was not into any of this shenanigans because he's like, dude, I got to play basketball for this guy. So,
yeah, exactly.
I'm working on the crossover. So, I liked this episode, Steve. I thought it was kind of fun.
It was endearing.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? This is another good theme song, Steve. This is a memorable one. Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. Can we do karaoke with TV show theme songs, Steve? Because I feel like that's something that's not done that we should do. We should specialize in that.
Add that to our hat. But in 1992, the final episode of Darkwing Duck airs. 3 seasons, 91 episodes, man. Even though this is my favorite of the Disney cartoons, man, we have never covered one episode, and slap myself for that. It's just I really feel anytime there was a potential candidate in Darkwing Ducks, it was an even better like Martin or Cheers, or it was just it's competition. You should have been around in the summer. If you were a summer cartoon Darkwing Duck, we would have been all over you.
Maybe what we do is because you're right. Inevitably, when that's on, there's just something better on. Something with maybe a couple of jugs bouncing, maybe some swear words. But maybe as a thing, Steve, because I think this is important because there's some shows that we just haven't covered that you and I both love. So maybe as like a present to somebody, either on the Patreon. I'm just talking out loud. I'm just popping some words out, or we do a special end of the year thing where we just cover one episode of one of our favorite episodes of something we haven't really talked about too much. I'm just throwing it out there.
Definitely Patreon's in the works, man. But I always love the villains on the show, man. Negaduck and the plant guy. And
who was the yellow Darkwing Duck? Because that was the one that I remember so much. He basically had like him. It was like a clone of him that wore a yellow suit.
Negaduck.
That's Negaduck. Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why they called him that.
But too fast, it could sound like something else.
I was like, shit, Steve, did you fucking fuck me up? Who was the rat guy? Because there was like an electricity rat guy, Megavolt.
Yeah.
That guy was cool as fuck.
Megavolt, yeah.
And Quackerjack, Steve, who looked kind of like Harley Quinn. Yeah.
The Joker guy, yeah.
Steelbeak as well, Steve. He was like a James Bond rooster guy.
I remember him. Launchpad was like the connection of all of this, man.
He was in DuckTales.
He's in
Darkwing Duck, and I do think, is he in? He might be in something else too. I think he is in a third thing. But yeah, dude, Launchpad McQuack. He's like the framework, Steve. Why didn't Launchpad ever get his own show? I want to see that show where he's just dicking down fucking hot stewardess ducks, Steve.
Stewardess ducks, yeah.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Yeah, he should get his own spinoff, man. But with today's standards, man, they would just like CGI the fuck out of it, and I wouldn't want to watch it then.
No, but I will say, to that point, I'm with you 98%, but they did make a Chippendales movie, I believe. Andy Samberg was a voice in, I think. It was like pretty recent, but it was actually pretty fun, Steve. So I'll give that one credit. But for the most part, that shit's all bullshit. It's blasé.
And shout out to the Duck Dynasty.
Hell yeah. Dude, also another one that I forgot, sexy ass Morgana Macabre, the duck in Darkwing Duck. She kind of looked like
Elvira.
Yeah, hell yeah. They even put some duck titties on her, which is kind of weird, but I'm into
They
that.
gave her duck titties.
That's cool.
Like, and you know what? This episode, the final episode of Darkwing Duck, it also had a prehistoric arc to it, just like Goof Troop. I don't know what it was with Disney and ending their cartoons on a dinosaur tangent.
I mean, shit, dude. They were killing it. This was their time, right? Really, because they had this. They had Gargoyles was out. Like they were just the animation game for TV was awesome. And now that I'm signing of like looking at the characters in this that I forgot about, it's up there, Steve. In terms of like the actual just the show itself, because the thing with DuckTales, I'm counting like the video games, the movies, all that
The
shit.
whole franchise, the whole shebang. Yeah.
But dude, and remember the little cute little duck honker in Darkwing Duck that was like a nerd? You remember that guy?
That was his daughter's best friend.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah.
Because he had a fat dad.
We gotta fucking get this show. We gotta watch the show, Steve. We gotta get one in because I can do Darkwing Duck all day.
I wanted to do this one, but the episode honestly sucked, man. And I don't think it ended the show on a good note. Like you should have went out on a different way, man. You should like maybe kill Negaduck for once and for all.
It gets dark as fuck.
Hey, it's Darkwing Duck. You're supposed to. It's like on some Sin City shit.
Hey, dude, remember that there was an animated movie for Batman called The Mask of the Phantasm where it was like adult. So maybe that's what they do. They just bring one like a little mini movie for Darkwing Duck, but we go straight HBO with it. You know,
I'm here for it.
He's got real guns, Steve.
Somebody who probably didn't watch this final episode of Darkwing Duck is probably the 58th Heisman Trophy Award winner Gino Torretta, quarterback at University of Miami.
Is that not the name of Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious, Steve? Because I feel like that's his name in it.
Gino Torretta?
Yeah, but that's a badass name. Didn't do shit that I can remember in the pros.
Not at all, but he did play for a couple years. He was drafted by the Vikings in the 7th round. He then went to the Lions the year after, and then the year after that, the Niners for 2 years. Then went to the Seahawks, the Colts, and he was on the off-season practice squad for Kansas City Chiefs in '99, and that's where he ended his career. But he did win 2 championships when he was with the U.
Yeah, and I got to say, the U is a bunch of cool motherfuckers usually, Steve. When I think the U, I'm thinking ballers. When I look up Gino Torretta's Heisman Trophy photo, this dude looks like he's 45 years old in the photo, Steve. This motherfucker, how old was he when he won the shit? Because damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Gino, shout out, dude. I bet this guy is good at announcing or something now. Like, he probably still does some shit.
At this point, he was 22 years old.
Like, you guys got to see this fucking guy. I mean, looking straight, it's like, are you hosting the show? That's the Heisman?
He presented it to himself.
Like, damn. Gino. Well, I love it, dude. Killed it at the U. But isn't that kind of the thing? It happens with Heisman Trophy winners, like a lot of the times, where they don't live up to their talent in the college.
It's just like the Madden curse, man. I mean, I think the Heisman curse has been obviously, it has been going on longer than the Madden curse, and it's more legit, with a few exceptions.
Hell yeah. But then there's guys like, dude, you're an Ohio State fan, and I apologize. The guy who won it twice.
Archie Griffin. Yeah.
You think a guy who wins the Heisman twice, he's going to be a fucking a legend. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Not shit. Every great running back that Penn State had in the 90s, Curtis Enis, Kajana Carter. I don't know if you remember those names. When they got to the pros, dead. Not a fucking thing to be had. LeVar Arrington's the only person I remember from my time of being like a Penn State fan that really did shit. And he didn't really do shit either. And with the Redskins.
It was decent.
Yeah, sometimes college athletics, though, especially football, allows for some shit that will not fly in the pros. But Gino Toretto, or Toretta, I'm pretty sure that's what the name of the main character Vin Diesel plays in Fast and Furious is. So maybe they stole that because it sounds cool as shit, Steve.
That following year, 1993, The Adventures of Pete and Pete is airing season 1, episode 3, The Nightcrawlers. Believing that his early bedtime has resulted in countless hours of lost fun, little Pete defies the international adult conspiracy by attempting to stay up 11 days in a row.
One of the best episodes of the show, Steve. This is a Hall of Fame episode for Pete and Pete. Shout out to Polaris, the band that plays the theme song. Shout out to this show. We've talked about it a few times. This show, of any show that we watch, when the theme song comes on, I get like a physical reaction of like memories. And usually I would watch this show and I'd be waiting for somebody to come home and like punish me. Like my mom's like, your dad's going to be home in 2 hours. Just fucking wait. So I'd be sitting there like watching this like, oh shit, like with anxiety. So that's kind of what I felt during this. And I love that because it's one of the best shows from my childhood. Maybe you don't like it as much, but to me, this is the kid show.
I like the show, man. You might be a little bit more of a fan of it than I was, but yeah, man. I mean, any Nickelodeon original, I was all for. From this to Rocco, Ren and Stimpy, even Rugrats, man. Nickelodeon, they just got us. They
Specifically like this for boys. I feel like I didn't have a brother, but just like the imagination and just like the shit that they got into, and like the like specifically for this, I'll bring it up. But like, I don't know, somebody writing this had like the memories just right at the front of their head that they could put down on paper, because it just got me. These were like things that would come up, and not with like the crazy dramatic part of the show, but just like the arguments that they'd get in, like the little situations that they'd be in and stuff. I feel like they nailed that for kids of our age in the 90s, like 8 to 12, that's kind of where I was. I was little Pete, Steve.
Just like Wonder Years. That's why I wanted to cover both of these episodes, man, because, they did them in different ways. Little Pete, he represented us because he was around our age and you got things from his perspective. They did a lot of exploration within this small fictional town. It was kind of like a real life version of Bobby's World in a way.
Yeah. And I do like that it's not just the family. Like, it's like any good show, like the side characters that they set up add to it. And in this case, they're so like well done, and there's like such a strange style to this show that it just works. All of it worked. Like the weird bus driver, the weird people at school. Like, I feel like the stereotypes that are what we have in our head is like the stereotypes of our childhood all were covered in this. The weird shop teacher that has no hand that freaks you out and stuff, like all those weird things. I just love this show so much. And the brothers are great. I feel like they cast them well. And they have the cast in general. Like, they even had like people like Iggy Pop and stuff show up to the show and do like these crazy performances that, I don't know, man. I never really did a deep dive into who was making the show, but I'd love to see what else the people who wrote this did. Because I'd assume it was fucking baller.
We start the episode off with a big Pete narration per usual, and he says, "When your eyes are closed, the world is moving.
Yeah.
While my little brother Pete is stuck in bed, the world is going on without him. He never gets a chance to catch up."
Yeah, while he's trying to go to bed, kids are playing someplace in the world, Steve. He wants to be playing with them. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want to go to bed. And this was an argument. How many times did this come up when you were a little kid? I don't want to go to bed yet. Like, this was the argument for a while. This was it.
Monday Night Raw just came on.
Yeah. I have to stay up for the half hour afterwards. I have to, okay? 10:30, 10:45. The negotiation was weird because they'd be like 9 o'clock. You'd be like 9:10. Like, that makes any fucking difference in the world, Like, just to get something. You had to get something from them, Steve.
If I wake up and I find out Repo Man beat Crush, I'm gonna be pissed at you for life.
You're just picturing Repo Man in your head all night.
on, Crush.
So little Pete, he's pissed off, Steve. He's in bed. He's thinking about kids in India that are fucking playing soccer, playing fucking Nintendo and shit.
It's
Because
not
he
fair.
doesn't like that. He wants to fucking do that. So Mrs. Wrigley, she's the Nazi, Steve. She's a sleep Nazi. Every night at 9 p.m., this bitch is like, time to go to bed. Time to go to bed, Pete. And Pete's like, huh? Why? And that's how it starts. You know, that's how the negotiation starts, Steve, with the question.
It's the time for growing boys to go to sleep. Well, why?
Yeah.
Because
And
I
then
said so. That's why.
yeah, that's just the door slamming shut on your dreams, Steve. Because there's no argument as a kid that you can overcome that with,
No rebuttal.
unless you get real personal with it, which I never did. But yeah, so usually that's it. But this night, Steve, something just hit different with Pete. But then the intro song, Polaris, his father's strange, being he looking happily deranged. It's great. The album's great. Which start by it's and me. Hey. Me and Jordan, as lame as it sounds, me and Jordan used to be high as fuck and just would listen to that song and just sing it full volume at our farmhouse and on
Dude,
Napoleon.
I mean, I believe it, man. There was a time when the three of us, me, you, and Jordan, a cappella sang the Step by Step theme song. And there was
Hell,
nothing wrong with us early 20 young men doing that.
no, hell no. I feel like it got a pop too. I mean, we killed it. So,
We
I mean, the proof
slayed
is
it.
in the pudding, of course. So, after the fantastic song by Polaris, we find out it's been 10 years, 4 months, and 27 days of Pete's life. That's how long he's been alive, right? And it's at this point, Steve, that he's reached his breaking point. No, this fucking bedtime shit, he can't handle it anymore.
Like Owen Hart, enough is enough, and it's
Yeah.
time for a change.
And he's also convinced he's on to this thing called the International Adult Conspiracy. And he's thinking that maybe they have something to do with this because they're basically George Soros, Steve. They're they that we all talk about in conspiracy theories that are they're pulling all the machines, you know, they're pulling the levers of your life.
Behind the
And
scenes.
he's even like listening in on some convos. I forget, he doesn't get anything about the sleep necessarily, but I think he hears his dad tell one of the guys, like, yeah, they think we're getting whole milk. I just get 2%, put water in it or some shit like that. And the guy's like, they don't notice. He's like, these people are fucking stupid. And that's the kind of shit they talk about, Steve.
That's why my cereal tastes like sludge.
Pete's mom has just said, because I said so. And Pete says, no. And I tried this as a kid. Just a straight no, just a denial of what they said. Usually got swatted and just taken to bed. But Pete's mom decides we see her brain. This is why I love this show. We cut, and Pete's mom, we see like the machinations, and she decides not to go with the nuclear option of all 2-parent households, which is for the mom to say, I'm going to go get your dad. For me, that was when everything stopped for me. You know,
You step down.
I had to as a little child. And then, so Pete's like, okay, so this gives Pete a little wiggle room. So she actually goes with reverse psychology instead. And so she's like, oh, so you don't want to go to bed now? Okay, that's fine. What are you thinking? 9:45? 10? 10:15?
Later.
Oh, okay. What are you thinking then? And it just keeps going. And finally, Pete's like, you know what? I'm going to stay up 11 days. And that's crazy, Steve. That's craziness.
He's got to break the giddy world record.
Yeah. When Pete's mom enacts the famed double bluff, where she's like, okay, sounds great. Stay up 11 days. This is terrible for a child's health, Steve. This might be something that she regrets later on down the road. But you know what? If Pete pulls this off, this is one of those precedent setters where it like everything's up for grabs then. If they can do this, who knows? Maybe they're telling the parents what to do at that point. God knows, Steve. We've never even seen something like this.
a whole paradigm shift. And this record was actually set by a 56-year-old housewife named Dorothy Van Houten. But little Pete, he's dedicated. But before he does that, he recruits some of his homies. It's all a ploy for the IAC, he says. But he's got Gwen, Natasha, Mort, Libby, Pink Eye, and the strongest man in the world, Artie.
I mean, you gotta have Artie in the mix, Steve. He's got the energy. The International Adult Conspiracy, they're talking, they're squawking on the phones. They can't believe it, but right now they're cocky. They're like, 11 days. What do you think these fucking kids are? These kids. I did coke and I couldn't stay up 11 days. You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Wrigley? So they're the kids now. This army of Nightcrawlers is what we're calling them, Steve. That's the name. That's the group. So night one, I mean, dude, this is like a sleepover. Remember what sleepovers like at some point when you were a kid, like a sleepover, part of the goal was to stay up as late as you possibly could, whether that's use of Mountain Dew, scary movies, maybe an adult movie shows up a little bit later in the game. We wanted to stay up. So this is a dream, and the parents, I guess, are allowing this. The kids aren't even confined to a house. They can just run around the neighborhood. So night one, dude, they're fucking hanging out. Artie's doing his fucking weird shit, which I never got, but I love.
They play football, they skateboard, and Artie even shows them how to skip stones on Neptune.
Yeah, dude. A little bit of, they shoot a fucking rocket. They get one of those like toy rockets with the water. They shoot that up. They're making all kinds of hullabaloo. A little, like you said, a little late night football. But there's always one in the group, Steve. So night one, 2:45 a.m. Purvis down, just collapses asleep on the ground, Steve.
First casualty.
God
But his
damn.
name is Curvis.
Is it Curvis? I thought it was Purvis. I thought it was with a P. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's dweebish either way you look at it. But he not only that, he's sucking on his thumb.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's not meant for this life of Nightcrawler lifestyle. So it's 18 hours in. Curvis, whatever the fuck the person's name is, they're down. But the International Adult Conspiracy, it's starting to get a little stressful because they're like, these kids are actually doing this, guys. Like, this is crazy, but you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm sure, a couple of days, they'll be fucking all asleep. It'll be fine. But you can tell they're kind of, the energy's shifting a little bit, Steve.
Libby's going to walk through that door any minute now.
But Libby, I love Libby because she's like this little Asian girl, and she comes up with the first tactic to avoid going to sleep because now it's daytime, and she figures out anytime she gets sleepy, Steve, she just got to take a look up at the sun, recharges her. She's like Superman basically, and she's good to go. She's not going to sleep. So Libby, she's kind of on it. She's examining the options, and she's in this to win this, Steve.
She kind of has an allergic reaction to the sun because apparently it makes her sneeze, and when she sneezes, she sneezes the tiredness out of her.
That's great. I wish I knew about this in college, but other people are using other things. Pink Eye, for example, she's eating some fig newlies, and apparently this fig newly has it's got like double the sugar of a usual cookie. So she's running on that like kid sugar rush that a couple of pixie sticks, a Jolt Cola, Steve. Hell yeah.
And Natasha, she just pulls on her pigtails. It keeps her eyes open.
Yeah. But Artie, he actually, when Purvis or Curvis went down, they had like a radio. It's called a Krebstar 3000, just a little something on their bike. Artie appropriated that. So when he gets tired, he just pops on some tunes. Hey, yes. And starts dancing, dancing it up. And that's how he stays alive in this.
It even picks up radio stations from New Orleans, Old Tucson, and Dusseldorf.
It's a nice, shit, dude. Krebstar makes some solid products, Steve. This is a company that we hear about a lot in Pete and Pete, and they're all over the place. They're the Costco of where's this at? Wellville or whatever. But hour 97, Steve. So what's that? We're about 4 days into this. Calamity strikes. Pink Eye, she's been using the sugar, the supplementation. It turned on her. She went on a sugar rush, but she crashed.
Crashed and burned.
Yeah, she's just sleeping on the ground. So young. So brave.
So brave.
So sleepy. The grown-ups now, they're becoming aware that now, maybe these kids are going to pull this off. So now they're like, well, if this happens, like I said, the balance of power is off, Steve. Light, dark, young, old. We don't know what's going to happen. Because if these kids pull this off, all of our fucking powers, they're gone. They see we're Wizard of Oz and they're seeing behind the curtains, Steve.
The crew is struggling, but they can't let the parents see him weak. Because Pete's mom walks by and she's like, "Isn't it a beautiful morning? The dawn is better."
Yeah, I like Pete's mom's passive aggressive energy where she's just like, it's kind of nice inside, like a little hot cocoa I'm gonna go have, but you guys enjoy the shit out here, you fucking turds. She's just like fucking with them. Pete's trying to stay up, but he's losing it slowly. Petunia, his little babe on his arm, she's dead, Steve. She can't even fucking shake that body like usual. He can't get it to happen.
They're cracking. Mort, he goes on a rant talking about how he wants to hold the radio for once. Pete's talking to his tattoo. And then, is it Natasha? She wants to know, why is the grass so wet? Is it raining?
I think she ate some mushrooms, Steve, because me and Jordan said that outside of Bromfield when we were in the midst of a trip, I believe. We're like, why is everything wet? Why is there grass? So Natasha's tripping balls, Steve, which I think happens if you don't get sleep. Like eventually you start hallucinating. So some of these kids are tripping balls, which I do love. I think that's cool. But Libby, the girl who I said was using the sun to stay up, 164 hours in, Steve, do the math. She looks up. It's cloudy. There's no sun.
It's on lunch break.
Shit, she's done, and she powers down. She's out, Steve. Another one bites the dust. I do have to point out that one of Pete's friends was the main character in Heavyweights.
That's right.
And he's one of the troopers. He's a soldier, Steve. He's out there till the bitter end. He starts growing facial hair. This kid's been at it so long. First, it's some mutton chops. But near the end of this kid has like more facial hair than I've ever had, Steve. He's got a beard like what you got going on, you know?
Clem. That's his name.
Clem, dude. Clem's a baller, though. Also in Heavyweights, which is awesome.
Heather Matarazzo is Natasha, and she was in Scream 3, and she was in the Scream reboot in 2022. She was also in Princess Diaries, and like I knew she had a face that I recognized, but just couldn't place it.
Well, the one chick got like a bunch of shows. Like she was. I don't think she was in this one, or maybe she was, but there was another one that was like she got like movies and stuff. She was like a kid celebrity.
You're talking about the. I know exactly who you're talking about. She was in that Euro trip.
She was in Harriet the Spy too, I think. So yeah, she was in Euro Trip. So fuck yeah, dude. I mean, unfortunately, Pete were the ones that got the least amount of work out of this show after this. I think Big Pete was actually in a movie called Slackers that I remember from like the late 90s or early 2000s.
Michael Morona.
Yeah, dude. And they do the comic book convention circuit a lot. I've definitely seen them at comic book conventions, and they look the same, which is awesome. Danny Tamborelli still looks like Little Pete, and Big Pete still looks like Big Pete. So, but back to the show, kids are dropping like flies. Nights 8 and 9, the fucking Nightcrawlers. I mean, who's left? Steve Clem. He's got the mutton chops. He cracks. He falls down, and he literally goes in. He loses consciousness, like he was blacking out on alcohol. Like he was walking around and then he just like a switch flips and he just goes and falls back like he had a stroke. So Clem's out, Steve. He might need medical attention.
And then there were two.
Yeah. And this is it though. This is the squad, because that was the other thing, Steve. You can't just win this challenge solo. You gotta have a witness. You have to have a witness. So we got two. And Artie's a dog, Steve. He's got the Krebs star. Pete's struggling, but he's like, Pete, he challenges him, Pete, to a game of tag of the flashlight variety. And he gets the energy up, Steve. He's the hype guy. You know, he's Flavor Flav.
But Krebs star starts losing power. And by extension, Artie loses power.
Yeah. And it's like, the music goes from normal to like, and he slows down, and then he goes into something that I've never heard of because I don't hang out with superheroes. He goes into what's called super sleep, Steve. A dream state reserved solely for superheroes where he's on one leg, just in the Superman. He's Superman in that hose, Steve, asleep like a shark.
You
So now it's just Pete. He's the last one standing, of course, because he's the dog. He's the fucking king of this shit anyway.
the alpha.
And he's out of witnesses and he's out of gas. So he's given up. And he's only got 50 minutes left, Steve. He's only got 50 minutes, but he can't make it. But this is when Mrs. Wrigley shows up, and this is where you see the real mom. Shows up right when he falls backwards, because like Clem, yeah. She catches him. Pete's like, why aren't you rubbing this in? Because she's just being a nice mom. And she's like, the only reason I want to do this and give you rules is I love you. I don't like, I'm only doing that for this. And
Mom.
yeah, and exactly. And then she's like, maybe I'm just afraid that my little boy's growing up too fast. And then, oh, so 50 minutes, Steve. She could take him inside, but what she does do instead keeps the energy up, gets Pete up. They play flashlight tag, and I'm assuming Pete wins this. He sets the record, Steve.
He ends up setting the record. In real life, the longest documented case of someone going without sleep was 11 days and 24 minutes, held by a man named Randy Gardner, and he achieved it in either 63 or 64, they said.
And I guarantee you that guy was seeing shit, because I know for a fact that when you do not sleep, eventually, like hour 72, you start seeing shit, You definitely, he was probably tripping balls like that little girl in the show, but sleep soundly, little Pete. Sleep soundly, because you did it. One for the kids, Steve. One for the kids, the good guys.
Yeah, man. Voice of the people, Lil Pete. In 1995, the rapper X Rated would release his second album, Exorcist. And I was actually preparing myself to shit on this album because I never heard of X Rated or Exorcist, both spelled with an X, by the way.
Yeah, what does
And
Exhibit have to say about this? Are they related, or is this guy did Exhibit steal swag? Who was first, Steve?
no relation, but I only wanted to bring this up because the man's story was interesting. He actually recorded most of this album from jail, and X-rated. He went to jail for murder, but he has been released recently within the last couple years, and it's just funny that he received the thing that really like broke him through to get free. He got a letter of recommendation from Lyle Menendez. Yes, that Lyle Menendez, because they shared cells and over time they started bonding. And Lyle could tell that, man, he's actually a good person.
Guys,
You
I know
know,
my name doesn't mean shit here, but I'm telling you, this guy's good people. Okay,
yeah, my name don't mean shit, but my word does apparently. And I guess they took credence to it. Like, hey,
that's done. Well, here's my thing, Steve. Bringing it to now, I think the Menendez brothers just got released,
they
so
actually
maybe
just, yeah,
X-rated was there when Lyle got out. I was like, bro, he's the one that got, like, he's helping him like reacclimate. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what X-rated's doing right now, but
he's still making albums. And this album, Matt, is actually not bad. Like I was preparing myself to shit on it, but the music is pretty good, man. You get some of that West Coast flavor, some of that G-funk sound. It's not Dre related or anything like that, but it's definitely West Coast. You could tell it's from Cali, that the artist is from Cali. The production is good. The only thing against it is the quality of the vocals, because obviously he did this a lot of this over the phone, man. And still to this day, he maintains his innocence. He says that he did not kill the lady. The lady in question was the mother of a rival gang member, and it was, as the story goes, it was him and some of his homies. They went to the house, and the guy wasn't there, so the mom got shot up instead. Man,
God damn, X-Ray. Well, he did have a track on the album where he made a collect call from the Sacramento County Jail that I guess there's audio of that. And I'm looking at the Wikipedia, Steve, so I don't know jack shit about this guy, but they said he got sentenced to 31 years in prison.
Yeah.
That's nuts, dude. So he's out though. He got
He's out
out.
now. Yeah.
Damn, dude.
What?
X-rated. Dude, I've never heard of the guy. That's crazy.
Me either, man. I mean, it's one of those things I got educated on from doing this show. And he was released and he was paroled in 2018, September 14th, after serving 26 years. And this album, man, like I said, it's pretty good. Check Your Bitch. I know I added that to the playlist.
It sounds like a song Matt Geddick would have on his playlist too. Check your bitch. All right, Steve.
Hey, man.
Every time you give me a recommendation, it's been solid. So X-rated, you're added to the YouTube list, bud.
But in 1997, Deconstructing Harry premieres in theaters. Harry Block, who suffers from writer's block and eagerly awaits his award, remembers some incredibly momentous times from his past. Directed by Woody Allen, starring Caroline Aaron, Kirstie Alley, Bob Balaban, Richard Benjamin, Eric Bogosian, Billy Crystal, Judy Davis, Hazel Goodman, Mario Hemingway, Amy Irving, Julie Kavner, Eric Lloyd, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Tobey Maguire, Demi Moore, Elizabeth Shue, Stanley Tucci, and Robin Williams.
Jesus.
Star-studded cast, man. And this is my first Woody Allen movie that I watched from beginning to end. It's worth a watch at least once. I feel kind of bad recommending a Woody Allen movie, but look at the star power. I just named off a whole shitload of characters.
Never seen it. I actually have writer's block or viewer's block from Woody Allen movies. Usually, I just don't watch them because I find them boring. I
Touche.
think Annie Hall, I think he made that's one of his old
Yeah.
ones. That one's not bad. Like it's not like most of the modern ones I've seen, which it just seems like an excuse for this guy to make another bullshit ass movie. But this, like you said, you just named off a paragraph of celebrities. So how could it be bad? But I'm
Exactly.
assuming, is Woody Allen the main character as always?
He's the main character,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's around like women who are way out of his league in real life.
Of
But hey,
course.
man, that's the flex of being a producer, director, writer. Demi Moore, she's in there looking hot. It's got Robin Williams and Billy Crystal. I don't know how you feel about Billy Crystal. I've always been a fan.
Yeah,
Uh,
hell yeah.
ep-
I love Billy
but
Crystal, dude. City Slickers, bro.
Tobey Maguire, Get Pussy Crew, future Spider-Man. He plays a young Woody Allen. You're flattering yourself, Woody.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve. That's like me getting McConaughey, and you're like, yeah, I think Denzel should play. You're just picking like the cream of the crop, but respect. I mean, he made the movie, so he gets to make the decisions.
I think I'll have Idris play me in my biopic.
To be honest, though, you said you could watch it all the way through, so that's got to mean something. Because usually I can. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is exactly what I know Woody Allen to be doing, and I'm done now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let me fondle your little young titties.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I just love breasts. I feel so awkward. I gotta go. I'm verklempt. I'm schwitzing. I'm schwitzing, Steve.
In my pants. But in that same day in 1997, Home Alone 3 premieres. Alex Pruitt, an 8-year-old boy living in Chicago, must fend off 4 international criminals who are seeking a top-secret microchip in his toy car. Directed by Raja Gonzalo, starring Alex D. Lenz and Haviland Morris.
Steve, I'm not in. I stopped after 2. I just had to. I didn't find this movie great. I've seen it. I didn't rewatch it. But they were trying. You had to keep it going. Macaulay aged out. They didn't want to do it anymore with him. They basically just had to redo the old ones.
They did want to do it with him, pause, but he didn't want to do it because he had moved on. It's like, dude, I'm like, what, almost adult at this point, and 27 years, man. It took me 27 years to finally give in and watch this on Disney Plus. And if you can get around the fact that the Culkster, the goat, is not in this movie, if you just Men in Black yourself and just delete it, all of that from your memory, the McAllister family is actually not a bad movie. Thought I'd never say that, but man, there's something to be said about this one-man army. This little Alex, man, he took on 4. Kevin McAllister took on 2. This guy took on 4 top secret agents, and he also had some assistance from his little rat pet and his little parrot. And some of the mechanisms. This little kid is like a carpenter / plumber / electrician and engineer. some of the contraptions that he put together, it would actually have Kevin McAllister shaking in his sleep. I'm just going,
Okay.
yeah, man. I was very inspired. Like, damn, I need to learn some of this stuff, man, just in case the wet bandits try to break into my household when I'm alone.
The kid's name's Alex Pruitt.
Should be Alex Vila.
I guess. Damn, I didn't know I forgot that aspect. I knew he had like remote controls and like electronics. Um, and there was another movie called, I believe, Remote Control that was kind of along the same lines of this. That was like more low budge, didn't have the
Dude,
Home Alone name. So maybe I'll go back and watch it, Steve. I just remember obviously having the hatred that it was not what I wanted. You know, it
it's not
just
the
is what it
culture
is.
magic. It's just like what we talked about with Predator 2. You take away the goat of action movies, and then immediately, oh, he's not in it. Ah, yeah, fuck it. But it's the same deal. If you can just forget, hey, Arnold's not in it. Kevin's not going to be in this. Just try not to think about it.
You still get the, and again, it's the whole shebang bang though, because it's not just Kevin, it's the Wet Bandits. You want Pesci, you want Stern, and you didn't get that. But I will say what I do remember, and you can kind of see it in the poster for this movie, a lot of good slapstick still. You know, they pull it off. They do a lot of the same like bits and stuff. So you know what, Steve? I'm going to lower my expectations a little bit. Forget Home Alone's involved and just call this RC cars or something, something else, and just watch it with that. Maybe that's a good way to do it.
Whatever you got to do to handle your candle. And Scarlett Joe's in here. Young Scarlett Joe.
Damn. Okay. I don't know that I want to see young Scarlett Joe, but that's still cool. Still, she's been working for a while. And I got to say, looking up the kid from this, kid was working, Alex Pruitt working heavily after this. And even before this kid was before he was even in this, Sybil, Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman. He was in Real Monsters as a voice actor. He was in Step by Step for an episode, Steve. He was in The Young and the Restless, uncredited as somebody in The Cable Guy, the movie with Jim Carrey. This kid was working, Steve. He worked with George Clooney. So I've not heard shit about Alex Pruitt since then.
He's
But
retired.
kid was working. It's not his fault he's not Macaulay. You know what I'm saying? It's not his fault.
And for the longest, I thought this was the same kid that played Max on Liar Liar, another Jim Carrey movie.
Dude, I would just looked it up to make sure that I wasn't, because I was about to use that as a fact. It's not him. So shout out. We're right, Steve. We're here with it.
We're G's, man. And coincidentally, though, that kid, he retired too. He's like, man, I had enough of this Hollywood shit. Both of those kids who look identical, they did a lot of work as kids, but they're, it's just one of those things, the downfalls of being famous at a young age.
Time to become a producer, kid. That's the thing. Like, you don't stay cute your whole life. And if you do, it's a problem. Then you're like Gary Coleman or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? So
unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? Shout out. Home Alone 3, Steve gave you a little bit of a boost there. You got the Steve G bump. So I might take a look.
There's some grace. On that same day in 97, Scream 2 premieres. 2 years after the first series of murders, as Sidney acclimates to college life, someone donning the Ghostface costume begins a new string of killings. Directed by Wes Craven, starring David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jamie Kennedy, Laurie Metcalf, Jerry O'Connell, Jada Pinkett, and Liev Schreiber.
Omar Epps up in this, Jada Pinkett up in this, Heather Graham up in this. I mean, I don't know what the budget was, and maybe these people weren't demanding this much money back in the day, but this is a 90s like dream team of heartthrob celebrity, like teen celebs, Steve.
24 million was the budget.
God damn, Neve Campbell, though. I watched this yesterday. I watched it because I remember I was a huge Scream 1 fan. I bought the fucking tape. I rewatched this movie ad nauseum once I had it in my like collection. And this one, the sequel, they made, I don't know how many they've actually made now. Just as like a general review, I didn't hate this movie, Steve. Also, shout out Oliphant, a young Timothy O, who's huge now. Like, it's just filled with people who are huge stars now.
And Elise Neal, that was Sydney's bestie, her the homegirl, the sister that was,
Oh
I think,
yeah, hell yeah. Okay.
yeah, she's always been hot.
Jamie Kennedy also, who was a
Jamie
huge.
Kennedy.
He got his pop from the first one of these, and this movie, this is sort of the first one was like a standalone thing. It was a horror movie. It was kind of like not a spoof, but it was like playing off of like all these tropes of horror movies. This one kind of is more Hollywood, Steve. It's a little more hot. They even are making a movie based on the actions in the original movie called Stab,
Stab, yeah.
that was written by Courtney Cox's character, Gail Weathers, who's a huge character. But I don't know how much you want to get into this, but I feel like as far as a Scream movie goes, we get all you want. You get a sexy Nev Campbell. You get a sexy Courtney Cox. Nev even says, "You bitch," gets really like intense with it. And that's what you want out of a Nev Campbell performance, Steve.
And Sarah Michelle Gellar, she had a great 97, man. Not too long ago, we were talking about her starring in I Know What You Did Last Summer. And here she is in another slasher in 97, man. I actually like this better than the original. This is one of those rare circumstances when I think the sequel is better.
And it has some very memorable moments that more notably were like referenced in Scary Movie, like Jada Pinkett's whole death scene in this. That's like the beginning killing of the movie is one of the most hilarious deaths of all time. It's hilarious.
Yeah. What a way to go.
I mean, everyone thinks she's playing like a part of like some promotion. She gets stabbed in a movie theater, but they do a good job because they really have you on your toes in this movie. They bring up Cotton Weary, who I guess was like thought to be the killer originally. Like that's the person that they thought killed Sydney's mom in the first movie. He's played by Liev Schreiber. He's out of jail. And now he's kind of running around like trying to get news, like in the news. He's trying to like talk to Sydney. So you have all these people where they definitely kept you guessing as to who the killer or killers were. And like the actual killers, who they are, it's insane, Steve, whenever you get to it, because the woman gives a performance of a lifetime, Steve. This is Aunt Jackie at her best.
Aunt Jackie, she's the trailer park auntie in Chicago.
Yeah, and so basically, this is how it goes. Bunch of people die, obviously. Sydney's friends just keep getting clipped. Jerry O'Connell, who's her boyfriend, you think maybe he's the killer because there's a lot of sus shit going on there. He wanted to see a dead body when he was a little kid. And then he gets to see a bunch of dead bodies as an older man in this movie. So I'm just bringing up Stand By Me, Steve. He was one of the kids in that. So we get to the end of the movie. Sydney's in film school, which I love. Her teacher is actually the scientist from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the English guy. He's encouraging her to, you must feel that he's a very like dramatic drama teacher. But we get to the end of the movie. It all happens. And the killers end up being Timothy Oliphant, who's just been running around filming shit the whole time. He's one of them, and he wants to be a copycat. He wants to get caught so he can go to trial and blame the movies for his actions. So he has a whole plan, and you think this guy's acting by himself. And then we find out, Steve, the other one is a psychotic Aunt Jackie who ends up being, you thought she was a reporter. She's playing a part where she's like faking everybody out. She's actually the mother of Skeet Ulrich's character in the first movie. She's pissed the fuck off. She's been grooming Timothy Oliphant because she met him online in like some kind of serial killer website. And she's been...
You've got mail.
Yeah. So she's grooming this kid. She's more with it than Timothy Oliphant. She's a psycho, Steve. This bitch is going crazy at the end of this movie.
This version of Aunt Jackie kind of made my jeans jump a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
She definitely fucks crazy, Steve. She's a lunatic, Steve. She doesn't have any ill will to you. The only thing she wants to attack on you is that dick. So you'd be fine.
She's giving me sensational vibes.
Yeah, dude, she should play Sherry. We need to make a movie. Yeah, we need to make that biopic. But so that we get the whole shebang, Steve. Sydney, she's the G, right? She's the one that does it. She fucking kills Oliphant just through sheer force of will. I guess once you've gone through this once, you just have it in you just to just straight beat the shit out of anybody coming at you, Steve. Timothy Oliphant, he gets capped. And Jackie, she gets capped. Then fucking they're, that's the thing. The killers always come back alive. So I love this. At the end, fucking Sydney's like, fucking bitch, and just puts one in Aunt Jackie's head. And it's graphic, Steve. It's
Pretty
great.
graphic. Wild and crazy stuff, man. 1999, WWF is airing Armageddon 99 on pay-per-view from the National Car Rental Center in Sunrise, Florida. And in the main event, Triple H, he has a match with Vince because this is a continuation of this whole Stephanie McMahon Triple H thing, where if Triple H wins, he gets to stay with Stephanie. If not, then Vince says fuck off or something like that. But it gets really bloody, really gory. And again, Triple H, man, at the drop of a dime, a snap of a finger, he can go from good guy to bad guy, and he does it so well. He's got Vince just leaking, and Stephanie's in the front row. He's like, "Yeah, this is your daddy right here, daddy dear. You like how you like that, yeah." And it's just so villainous, and like he is awesome at this, man. There's a match with the Dudleys, actually a 4-way match with the Dudleys, APA, the Acolytes, the Hardy Boys, and Edge of Christian. And at one point, Farouk, he skylifts Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is like running towards him, and he lifts him up, and he's got like MJ, Scotty, and LeBron jumps.
Damn, really?
Yeah, it's worth a while. He just throws him up, and he clears the whole top rope, man. It was awesome to see. But overall, the pay-per-view really wasn't great. There's no Stone Cold. You do get some Rock. He's in a tag team match with Mankind against New Age Outlaws. But, all the matches were pretty much washes. Big Show, he's the champ at this point, and he has a 3-minute match with Big Boss Man. And, that's what I wanted to say. What a 99 for Big Boss Man. This is the same year where he gets hung in the Hell in the Cell in WrestleMania. And this is a part of that Big Show angle where he's just clowning him about his dead daddy, and I'll never forget the funeral that they had. I don't know if this is supposed to be funny, but I still laugh my ass off where he itches his dead dad's casket, and he just rolls off with it, and you just see Big Show's 7-foot ass hopping on top of the casket.
He sketches, Steve. Hell yeah.
Who's gonna save you now? Your daddy dead, boy.
Was this his greatest era period? Because I mean, he went up against Hulkster like early on, so I mean that has to be up there. But this, Steve,
I think so. I like this Boss Man. The old the Confederate Boss Man with the
Cobb County, Georgia. You don't like that?
Yeah, I could care less about that. But this one, and this is also at 99. He had that angle with Al Snow. Remember his little Chihuahua? So angle with him was like he killed the dog, and he ended up feeding him the dog. I don't know if you remember that.
What?
He gives Al Snow. He wants to call a truce, and he gives him a meal, and he's like, "Yeah, that tastes good."
Who does that?
Boss Man.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, this is his era, Steve. This is it. We need to go back, and I need to watch that. I forgot about all those shenanigans.
Yeah, he had a wild 99, man. Any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways?
Well, Steve, we did it last episode, and should I pull out some old cards and we just see if we get any winners in this? Should we do that twice in a row? I mean, are you cool with that?
I mean, yeah, we're pressed for time, but go.
Okay, I'll just do one. We're just gonna just see what we get. One card, Steve. I'm not even gonna look. I'm just pulling it out of the fucking deck. We'll go near the end. Shout out to my neighbor Jack, who gave me a bunch of his cards whenever I moved to Ohio. That hopefully there's some winners in here, Steve, because I'd love to make a little money off these cards. But I pulled one out. It's kind of a fucking it's a jobber, Steve. We got Royce Clayton. This time, Royce Clayton, he was playing shortstop for I believe the San Francisco Giants. He was born in January of 1970 in Burbank, California. 6 foot, 175 pounds. And you know what, Steve? I'm not seeing a lot on here. So he is a first round pick in baseball. I don't know how much that matters. Royce, salute to you, my friend. How about you, bud?
One of these days, you're going to pick a winner out of that pack.
I guarantee you, there's some in there. I just don't have the time to look.
Only thing I have, man, is in 1995, Roseanne is airing December Bride, and her manager, I can't call his name, but he's about to get married, and she doesn't know that Fred Willard, who makes a cameo appearance, that's going to be her manager's husband or bride, I guess. So they basically have a gay marriage on Roseanne, which in 95, that's kind of monumental, I guess you would say, man. I don't know if this was a precursor to Ellen coming out, but you know, shout out to the Rainbow Crew.
Dan, my friends are getting married. I think it was though. Wasn't it the guy who owned the restaurant? Wasn't that
Martin
it?
Mull? That was his real name. R.I.P. to him. He just passed this year, man. Both of those legends passed. Fred Willard too, but yeah, that was the guy that owned the cafe. And what made it funnier, no pun intended, was that Roseanne, she's putting together the marriage. She's like the arrangement person, so she just tries to make it as gay as possible. And her boss, he doesn't like that. It's like, why are you making this such a spectacle? And she's like, I thought these people like
shorts
this.
and no shirt. They're all greased up. This isn't my ring bearer. I didn't want him to bring that out on his hard cock. What the hell?
Man,
that's great.
Yeah.
Dan, give me the cock ring, Dan.
Instead
Fluff him up, Dan. Yeah.
With this ring, I'd be wed. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister, lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. Check out Full Show Fanatics, Crush Gasm, and our guy Clark the Shark on podcast. So this is Steve G and Mad G.
Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!